Okay, don't panic. Don't panic. It's not real. It's not real. Oh my gosh, it's a spider! Okay, this isn't meant as a jab to the creators of this show, but let me just say that this is the most like buggy episode I have seen in like almost any Star Wars content. And by buggy, I just mean like, no, there's literally like bugs everywhere. There's a giant ant character. There's spiders. I mean, it's a really creepy crawly kind of episode, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Now, this episode is not necessarily like what I would call a gripping plot. It doesn't necessarily move the story forward in a really significant way, but to me, I don't mind episodes that are more like filler because they still allow for classic, exciting moments. I think, well, I've always said that one of the greatest things about Star Wars is that it always has these amazing moments that are memorable, that stick with you. This episode is an example of the purity of Star Wars. It's what makes Star Wars great. No, it's not the most compelling story. It's not something that really does anything significant for the overarching plot, but that's okay. It still works really well. The opening scene is actually pretty amazing, even though it's played off for laughs kind of towards the end, but to me, that was actually a major payoff because it was one of the funniest moments I think I've seen in this entire season. But it's got this amazing opening action sequence that really shows off what the Mandalorian can do. And I feel like the more that show goes on, the more I'm impressed by his combat abilities. And you can see very clearly early on that the bond between Baby Yoda and the Mandalorian has really grown since season 1. I mean, I guess at this point we're not calling him Baby Yoda anymore, but I'm still gonna call him Baby Yoda. I'm sorry, I can't help myself. I've been calling him Baby Yoda for a year. It's hard to change that suddenly, you know? Anyway, so the main story of this episode is that the Mandalorian is tasked with taking this, I don't remember her name. I'm just gonna call her Frog Lady. So she's got eggs that she's carrying. She can't take them through hyperspace because it'll kill them. So she's trying to be reunited with her husband on this planet. They have to take the long way there since they can't use hyperspace. So on the way there, Mandalorian and the rest of them run into some New Republic X-Wings that are out patrolling the area. He ends up running from them because can't provide them with the information that they want and decides that it's better just to run. And then he ends up crashing on this little ice planet. And that's where things get kind of interesting. They discover inside this cave where the Frog Lady is like bathing in, I guess, what is supposed to be a really warm pool of water somehow. I don't know how you get warm water in there, but anyway, so she's bathing and like enjoying the water. The Mando stops Baby Yoda from eating any more of the eggs and then goes off to look at what these little sacks are sticking out of the ground and decides to open one up and eat one. And turns out that it's a bunch of alien spider eggs everywhere. And so they have to run and get out of there very quickly. And I will just say though, in terms of the visuals, I think that this is a great example of the major improvement between season 1 and season 2. Even though, you know, they obviously are using a lot of CG effects in this season as well. Just like most Star Wars content, they use a lot of practical effects, but they also are definitely still using a lot of CG. But it actually looks really good. But there's one particular shot when Mando's dropping through the clouds and being chased by the X-Wings that I thought was just primo computer generated effects. I mean, just good looking visual effects. Major props to them for that in this episode. So the real defining moment you get here is when the spiders are really advancing on Mando and everybody else, and they're trying to flee inside the ship and they're being stalked by this giant spider. I mean, it's a pretty tense scene and it's exciting, and just to see Mando blast that many spiders at once and try to hold them off is a pretty awesome sequence. For some reason, it reminded me so much of I think it was in 1998, they did a movie version of Lost in Space with Matt, I want to say his name is Matt LeBlanc, William Hurt, Heather Graham, a couple others. Even though the movie wasn't that great, I always really liked the sequence on the alien ship when they run into the spiders. And for some reason, it just reminded me of that, just running from all those spiders and them kind of getting through the cracks. And so anyways, there's not a whole lot else to this episode. It really is, I guess, what you'd call just filler, but I don't see that as a bad thing. I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan like me, I just eat up good live action Star Wars quality content. It doesn't mean that I love everything that's live action Star Wars. I'm looking at you, Solo. When I see quality delivered, even in a story that's not all that important, I'm satisfied. So For me, I'm gonna give it probably a 7 out of 10, just because of the fact that it's probably an episode that you might kind of forget about if it wasn't for the spiders. Honestly, I enjoyed all of it, and that opening action sequence is really good. I don't really care about the frog lady story, even though it is kind of touching when she finally gets reunited. Some of the creature designs, you know, are so silly sometimes that it makes you like really hard to care. I don't know, that's just me. Anyway, so that's all I got for you guys. I enjoyed this episode. I know it's not, like I said, it's not the most engaging episode of the series. It doesn't really move the plot forward that much, but there's a lot to be enjoyed here, and I can't wait to talk about chapter 11. Thank you so much, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to leave it a like, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button and be on the lookout for my next review of chapter 11 of The Mandalorian Season 2.